Welcome back, guys, to our story, Grace Darling. And now we will have the last chapter in our story, chapter 10, Too Many People. In the last chapter, we know that Grace and her father took the boat into the sea to help the men or the people on the rock, and Mrs. Dawson was crying for her children who were dead. And Mr. Donovan saw the boat and he was laughing and crying at the same time. Now let's see what happened there and how Grace and her father helped the people. Grace looked behind her and saw the people on the rock. They were waving, shouting, laughing. There were 8, 9, perhaps 10 of them. Too many for this small boat. It was more than a kilometer around the islands from the lighthouse to the ship. There were about 12 people on the Harker's Rock. They would all drown if they tried to get in that small boat. William said that they couldn't take more than 5 the first time. Grace thought, if we make one mistake, the boat will break into 50 small pieces, and we will be on the rock with the others. Grace and her father tried to get the boat near the rock, but 3 times they had to pull away at the last minute. William Darling jumped, the passengers pulled him onto the rock. Grace rowed the boat out to the sea again. She was tired and her arms and back were hurting, but she knew about boats. On the rock, William Darling said, "I am going to take the woman back with me, and that man there with the broken leg. Then I need 3 strong men to help me row the boat." He chose Daniel Donovan and 2 others to help him. He said that he would come back for the others. This is the first part of this chapter. Let's go for the questions for this part. Number 1, what did Grace see when she looked behind her? Number 2, what will happen if they try to get in? Number 3, how many people can they take the first time? Number 4, what will happen if they make one mistake? Number 5, how was Grace? Number 6, who did William take first? This is the question for the first part. You have to read this part and find the answer of these questions. And now let's complete the second part. Mrs. Dawson asked William Darling to take her children and don't forget them. They were dead and cold. William said to Daniel, "We can do nothing for them. When the boat comes, help me get the woman in. We can take her children." Daniel agreed. William waved to Grace. She rowed the boat in to the rock. It was harder without her father. Grace was very tired now. One mistake meant death for them all. She pulled hard on the oars and threw a rope to a man on the rock. Then her father got into the boat with the woman in his arms. She was screaming for her children. Grace went to the back of the boat with the woman and held her. Daniel Donovan and 2 other men got in. They were carrying the man with the broken leg. The front of the boat was very near the rock now. Grace looked behind her and saw a big wave. She stood up and pushed against the rock with an oar. The boat was very heavy now, with all these people in it. The big wave came in and broke into white water all around them, but the boat didn't hit the rock. And this is what happened in the second part for this chapter. Let's go for the questions. Number 1, how were the children? Number 2, can they take the children? 3, what did Grace do when Daniel waved to her? Number 4, what was the woman doing? 5, what were Daniel and the other men carrying? 6. What did Grace do to help her father? Number 7. Was the boat very heavy? 8. Did the boat hit the rock? Now we know that Grace and her father took some people with them in the boat back to the lighthouse. Let's see what happened with them. The little boat was very full. The sides were only just above the water, and often the water came in. Grace threw the water out with her hat. At last, from the top of the wave, they could see Thompson Darling. She was standing in front of the lighthouse and waving to them. They were tired when they got to the lighthouse. William and Daniel carried the man with a broken leg into the kitchen. William didn't want to take Grace back with him because she was very tired. He asked Daniel and the other two men, which are the strongest? Daniel was very tired. There was a fire in the kitchen. He wanted to lay down in front of the fire and go to sleep for long. But he and Thomas Buchanan went with William. They followed the old lighthouse man away from the kitchen fire, out into the rain and wind again. Daniel looked at the angry sea with its terrible waves, and he felt cold and frightened. Daniel was wet and very tired, but he got back into the boat with the other two men, and rowed out again into the wild, stormy sea. And this is what happened in our story. And this is the end. Grace and her father save the people on the rock. Let's go for the new vocabulary for this chapter. Number 1, mistake, and it's a noun, means something you do wrong. At the last minute means just before doing something. Mean, it's a verb, to be the reason for something. Full, it's an adjective, means with lots of things or people inside. Lay down, to put all your body on a bed or on the ground. Busy, and this is the last one, it's an adjective, means to have lots of things to do. Let's go for the questions for the last part. Number 1, did the water come into the boat? 2, who was standing in front of the lighthouse and waving to them? 3, how were they when they got to the lighthouse? Where did they carry the man with the broken leg? Number 5, what was there in the kitchen? 6, what did Daniel want to do? And the last one, what did Daniel feel when he looked at the angry sea? And now, this is what we have for our story, Grace Darling, and this is the end. So, try to be brave like Grace. And now, goodbye.